A big work, which is a complete book of my compositions. So that's a huge undertaking. It's probably going to be about, I think it's that they say 1,000 pages, but I don't believe them. But I think it's about 400 pages without the individual parts. So I guess with all of the individual parts, I suppose it would be about 1,000 pages. But we're working on that.
The day that comes out, I'm out of business. That's it. It's over. It's over for me. There's been a demand for this book for as long as I can remember. I remember going through forum posts where you may or may not have been as well, of people talking about this, and so I know it's gonna kill. It's gonna kill, absolutely.
It's gonna be beautiful. It really looks wonderful, and we're doing it. We're doing a great job on it, and it's gonna be quite the work when it's finished. It's just really something special, and so we're working hard on that. We're also working hard on a few different albums that hardcore is involved with at the moment. I'm actually in the process of remixing and remastering my album Hardcore, and we licensed that from Verve, and that's going to be a remix, remaster, and double vinyl reissue coming out sometime this year.
Wow.
So I'm working on that. It's really cool to just open up those sessions again and mix them again, because when we mixed them, it was like, we had like a shoebox and some pedals.
I like
when we did it originally. So now, like, we're giving it the updated treatment, and it sounds really great. And so I'm working hard on that. And Hardcore Records is just about to release a really wonderful album by an artist named Daniel Santiago, who's a Brazilian songwriter and composer, guitarist, and singer.
It's not Gabriel Santiago?
That's a joke.
No, it's Daniel Santiago.
Okay.
And he's a really wonderful artist. So we're just about to release that album. The first single drops next week, actually, March 12th.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Excellent.
We'll check that out.
And Clapton is playing on that one, so it's kind of exciting, and it's a beautiful album. So we're working hard on that. Yeah.
The reason I mentioned Gabriel is a friend of ours, and he's also, of course, into your music, and he's been following you for a long time. Also a guitarist, also a freak of nature.
Also Brazilian.
Also Brazilian, and I'm like, wow. Why didn't I hear about this? But we've been jamming to one track of yours in particular lately, Heavenly Bodies.
Oh yeah.
And because we're like experimenting with all sorts of styles of composition, even like disco stuff. Like, we're into it. We're trying it all, you know what I mean?
Right on.
And Heavenly Bodies is very special to me because I sense something there that is really there's no other way to put it for me. It's a spiritual thing, and I'm sensing it there, and I wonder what that's about. If you can give us a little insight.
Yeah, that would be sweet.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, it definitely reaches into the astral planes and the universe, and the spirits. And I remember when I was writing that one, I was just in this kind of state of mind where felt the connection, with the universe, and just the way that the spiritual waves move you know, through the world and through ourselves and through music, you know. And so that one was, I felt, like you said, like really connected to the spiritual world.
Yeah, and there's so many ways of connecting to that world. You know, music is actually probably one of the most powerful ways, if not the most powerful. And there are others, certainly. There's just simply, for example, the study of spiritualism and sacred texts. And if you don't mind me asking about this, because I've seen it on your channels, like on Instagram, for example, where you seem to do a lot of critical thinking work and reflection on like the tree of life and its teachings.
Yeah.
And what was the impetus for you to do that? Like, what was the beginning of that?
Well, I always felt connected, but I was always kind of creating a framework for it myself, you know, just kind of making it up my own framework for the phenomena that are going on when you're in touch with that realm. And at a certain point, I think when I was about like 29 or 30, I felt like I was going to have a truly spiritual experience, and I knew when it was going to happen, but I didn't know what it was going to be. And basically, I knew I was going to be on the road with Brian Blade, and I knew that we were going to end up in LA, and I was going to have about 10 days off. And so I kind of knew that that was going to be the time where I was going to have my kind of spiritual experience, you know, my awakening of some sort. You know, I kind of knew that that was going to be the time. And I didn't know what was going to happen, because I didn't plan anything. I just knew that that was going to be the time that I was going to, you know, that something was going to happen, you know. And so I was in Santa Cruz on tour with Blade, and I was playing my guitar in my hotel room, and I get a knock on the door, and it's a guy that I know, and I hadn't seen him for a year, and his name's Carlos, and he just happened to be in the next room, and he heard my guitar and recognized that it was me, knocked on the door.
Wow.
And I was like, Carlos. And he's like, Kurt. And about a year before, he had sort of laid a whole bunch of Kabbalah on me in Brooklyn. But I wasn't really ready for it, you know? But it was a kind of a first meeting with him, discussing Kabbalah and a lot of texts, magical texts that he had, that he was way into. And so then when I saw him there at that moment, I was like, wait a minute, why are you here? And he was like, yeah, this is it, you know? And I was like, yeah, this is so mind-blowing, because, and I told him, and he's like, yeah, man, I'm here because he said I'm here because I'm like gonna buy a house around here, and I'm just staying here because I'm checking out places, you know. And he just happened to be in the next room, and so he was like, why don't you come up to my house in Oregon, in Portland, and you know, we can hang out, and you can stay in I got a trailer in the woods that you can stay by yourself in the trailer, and I'm in the house with my girlfriend, and we can just hang out. And I was like, yes, that's the thing. So I flew up there, and we just hung out, and he just hit me to a ton of Kabbalistic stuff, and I was watching him do magical rituals and discussing the significance and the connections involved with that, and the tree of life, and gave me a whole bunch of stuff to read. And I just stayed in that trailer for like 7-8 days, just getting really into this body of texts and literature about Kabbalah, which is very diverse, because the Kabbalah is a tradition. It's the esoteric underpinning of a lot of traditions, and from Judaism to Christianity, and to magical circles and Western magic, and I just loved it. And because it's not dogmatic, it really speaks to the functioning, like the metaphysical functioning of how an idea comes from ideation down through processes into manifestation, both on the microcosmic level and the macrocosmic level. So I found it to be a very useful and functional and beautiful discussion and description of and framework for this feeling of connection that I've always had, so that was how I got into it. That's how I found it. I felt like a molecule of water having been dropped onto a mountain and then gone all the way down, and then all of a sudden found the ocean.
Wow. Whoa.
That's how I felt. So it gave me a lot of framework for what I already kind of knew. So there was a lot of recognition in the works that I was reading. So
have you ever read Don Juan Don Juan by Carlos Castaneda? That was just reminding me of that. I feel like maybe Carlos was your Don Juan, and but he's literally also Carlos, and you're Kurt.
When it comes to the topic of manifestation, it's sort of a hot topic in this studio, actually, because we have since for a long time, and part of the reason why Chad and I have started a business together, and a band and a podcast and an effort, is because we are trying to see if it's possible to unlock that area of thought in more people. Because, and we don't want to do it in a forceful way, because that never works. And it might work in the short term, but in the long term it doesn't work. And so I wonder if you've ever, when you figured these things out, did you ever feel like the need to reach out to others about it?
Not really. I've always I think that's beautiful what you're doing, and creating a context for the awakening of people's minds. And I think I do that too, but like, I feel like the hardcore label and idea is very much kind of what you're talking about, where you grow a family, you build a family with connected people all around the world, and together you kind of have a community that manifests these kinds of ideas, and manifests music that comes from this kind of mentality, open-minded and receiving kind of mentality. And but in my music and in my personal journey, I've never felt like I wanted to say it out loud in words. I feel like you know, you lose something when you say the hidden knowledge, you know. When you say it leaves you somehow sometimes, you know. So I have learned that lesson a lot, like in music. Like, for example, if I'll be working on something and I have a discovery, and I'll be working on that discovery on my own, and finding a lot of value and content, and a lot of new connections being made from maybe one idea that's starting to kind of you know, proliferate in my own thinking. I noticed that as soon as I told somebody about it, then it becomes much harder to get back into that free thinking place where you're connected with it in a nonverbal way. I think words are they can liberate an idea, but they can also encapsulate an idea. And as such, when it becomes encapsulated, it becomes separate from you, and it drifts away, you know. And it can be more wise to keep things like that unspoken. So a lot of my life, I've kind of held those things secretly, kind of, you know, just to myself, you know. Like, for example, but now I feel like I feel different about it. I feel I'm older, and I'm more of a I'm more experienced in all those matters. I feel like now I can actually be in a position where I can speak about things like this, you know. So it's interesting.
Well, to follow up on that, what do we do when we want to manifest? Should we keep the potential energy of the magic inside so that potential energy can grow? Are we allowed to speak it? Should we?
I think you are. I think it has to do with, you know, keeping the relationship between the power of the idea and what you're doing. And if by sharing it with others, you're finding like-minded people who add power to those ideas and add their own spirit to it, then that's a good thing, right? Yeah. So it just depends on whether you're working externally or internally, you know.
So it needs to be a balance depending on the situation.
I feel like that. Yeah, for me, it's always been a balance between the internal work and the community work, as it were, as musicians, you know.
One thing that I feel like Armin and I see a lot is kind of when the energy is put towards, when the collective energy is put towards something, or even just he and I is put towards something, we see the things start to actually just happen. Like, even for example, and I've said this on other podcasts, but I feel like this truly for every podcast is sort of a synchronicity in itself, or a version of a manifestation. And even in the fact that you are here, like, you're a musical hero to us. Also, you don't know us from anywhere, and that's why we're extra grateful that you're here, because this is amazing and we love your music and we love to learn from you, etc. I have a question for you though. What made you even say yes to come on here? Just out of curiosity.
Are you tired of the government trying to calcify your pineal gland and turn you into nothing more than a working zombie? Look no further, because the Houston Ensemble has now been sponsored by the amazing Epic Water Filters. Tell us what they do, Armin.
Epic Water Filter is the only true filtration system you need. All these other filtration systems skip out on so many terrible chemicals and minerals that are still in your water and that you should not be drinking.
Fluoride, chromium, lead, all these other things that you do not want in your water. We've got water bottles with filters on them. We've got home installation filters. We've even got pitchers. Right now you can get 20% off any of these items on epicwaterfilters.com if you use our discount code Houston Ensemble, all lowercase, one word.
That's Houston Ensemble, lowercase, one word, for 20% off your Epic Water Filter.
Well, you know, I just got your email, and you know, I checked out one of your podcasts, and I thought that the vibe was really cool. So
Which one? Which one did you listen to?
I felt like it was a really thoughtful and positive vibe, you know, and interesting. So I felt comfortable to come on with you guys, and it was with your philosophy professor.
Oh,
your old philosophy
Uriah Kriegel or Jeff Kripal, maybe. Either of them are good.
I think if I'm not mistaken, he was either Israeli or had just come from Israel.
Uriah. Okay, yeah, it was Uriah. Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
that one was a super fun one too. And I, like I said, I just met Uriah. I graduated this past May from Rice University here in Houston from their music school, and I didn't ever meet Uriah while I was there, but I was working a little coffee job, and I ended up meeting him there. And I said, "Hey man, will you just come on the podcast and we can talk shop, aka life?" And that's how it works. And so, like I'm saying, we're just happy you're here. And another question I have for you, and it's kind of regarding manifestation and all this kind of stuff. Some days I'm walking around, and I know Armin's walking around too, and we're like, this is really, it's almost like breathtaking that we're alive and everything is happening. And also it's so arbitrary that it's flabbergasting. It's just so arbitrary, which is okay. And I'm wondering, somebody like you who has been walking around probably thinking that, but also making historic music and this kind of stuff. What are you thinking when we're talking about greater scale life? What this all means, why it may seem arbitrary right now, but maybe it's not, maybe it is. I just kind of want your take on that.
Yeah, that's a really great question, and I feel that so much too. That sometimes I just look at my hands and
yes,
how am I incorporated into this body?
Yeah,
and it's so, it feels like you said, so arbitrary, and yet at the same time it's so achingly beautiful that we have this very short time, and I think a lot about how we just happen to be the particular people who are alive at this moment. And like one of the things I think about is like, when you think about how many people are alive right now, and you think, wow, there's so many people, like 8 billion people are alive right now on the planet. But then I think, well, how many people aren't alive who have been alive on the planet? And then you start to think of that number, and then think of how lucky we are to just be sharing this moment right now.
Yeah.
And to be the particular ones who happen to be alive right now. And I kind of believe that that everyone who has been alive and is always alive in the time that they were, in the sense of everything that we do will live forever, because we're putting energy out into the universe, which will never go away. We might go away, but the things that we do will live forever on to the future. And so I kind of believe that everybody who has ever been alive will always be alive in the time that they were living. It may not be now, we're experiencing this moment, but that's the strange thing about time, is that, like, you can think of time as being this moment going forward, but who's to say it's not every moment
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and so I feel like everything that has happened is accessible in that way if you were able to skip around, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we would just be the part of the song that is playing at the moment, but the rest of the song is still there, you know. It's like all you have to do is play it again. And that makes me feel warm. That makes me feel like a lot of camaraderie with the human race, and you know, and with just life itself. And just I feel basically like I'm passing through these moments, and I have this body, and I'm able to do things with it, and let's do all we can while we can.
Yeah.
And then we'll do the other thing. Whatever that is.
Seriously.
For some of our viewers who are musicians, including myself, and I know Chad is going to be into this too. One topic I'm kind of obsessed about lately is how to get into that realm during a performance pretty much 100% of the time. You know, I can do it about 70% of the time, 80% of the time, maybe. And it's kind of difficult because there's a lot of ego barriers, there's a lot of sensory barriers, and
for me, this is more for me. I think I know what you guys are getting at, but like, tell me what you're thinking regarding that realm. What is that?
Well, I don't know.
Is last night that realm?
Yeah, so we had a gig last night at a brewery. It was fun, open space, and it was really
nice.
Wonderful. And
a gig.
Oh yeah. I didn't mean that as a jab, but we're very blessed here, as you know, in Texas, in this regard.
To be able to play,
you know, and,
but also we have to play. I mean,
it's a liberating feeling, is what I, you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Literally.
But
so you had a gig.
Yeah, and
you got something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was building. It was like the whole time from start we felt it building, and it was just building. And it got, and yeah, I mean throughout it was always there.
And even at the start though, what's interesting is like contrary to maybe other times when you start, you're like, oh shit, we're in there from the get-go. And when I say in there, I don't know how to really put it into words, but it's like kind of spiritual, and everything's just lining up. Everything's just tight without we're just locked.
It's like it's a one psychic moment after another, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
isn't that just the best feeling in the world?
That's what I'm saying. How do you achieve that 100%? How do you achieve that always?
That is that's a good question.
Well, if you buy my book,
that's right.
I'll teach you how to reach it 100% of the time. 3 minutes. Give me 3 minutes of your time.
Okay, let's go.
You need a.
Oh yeah. Well, that's such funny. A beautiful thing, you know. And you know, I don't. There's different levels of experiences that are in that realm. There's like what I think you guys are talking about, which is like the most something very sacred just happens, and magical and mystical, and everybody is sort of disappears, and something really takes over, and you know, that's the most the highest level of experience, you know, through music that I've ever had, you know, that where I feel like I'm just watching things happen, and I'm sort of a spectator, and and that I forget myself, and I'm not even making any decisions. It's just happy. I'm just kind of watching it as it happens. And that, you know, those experiences are so precious. You know, there's such gifts from the universe. That doesn't happen all the time. But you know, I feel so lucky to have had that kind of experience many times in my life, and but those are the most deepest ones, you know. And but then there's other kinds of experiences that are in that realm as well, like where that have more to do with your own state of mind than it does, you know. Okay, so maybe sometimes the spirits come down, they swoop down and they take everybody on a ride, and everybody's just you know. But then also there's the work of our own mantric state, you know, that we can cultivate and nurture, and I can be in that state 100% of the time, you know.
Right.
And that's something that I have control of, to try to perfect myself as much as I can, so that and to offer myself up like as a sacrifice at the beginning of the gig. I think that's the attitude to walk up on stage as, like, you know, like,
wow, I like that.
Take me, you know, if you will, you know. And sometimes it happens and sometimes not, but also when it doesn't, when that real thing, you know, that real extra magical thing happens, that's super sacred. But it also, just being there with that kind of attitude and approach, that's also a beautiful experience too, you know. And that can have you know, beautiful and magical things happening on many different levels at many different times, you know. And I think that's what I can cultivate, to have that kind of experience or that kind of mantric state of mind 100% of the time.
Yeah. So you're the main attitude, the main thing you do is basically just offer yourself. You just and that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's what we gotta start.
I like
doing.
that. You know, just funny. Like you mentioned, there are different states of that, and this is just kind of a funny story for me personally. But I remember one time, I don't know, maybe a couple months ago or something, we were playing Phase Dance by Pat Metheny. And we played it a number of times. We just love playing that tune sometimes. And I remember we played it this one time, and literally I started crying while we were playing it, because it sounded so beautiful in that moment. And I remember we finished it and I was like, yeah, I was just crying while we played that. But that's another example of just something different happening sometimes. And you know it's universal, because everybody feels it, whether or not it's said out loud. And that is definitely a beautiful thing about music. And I wish everybody could experience that all the time. Like sometimes you're just playing sometimes, and it's so amazing that when you get done, you actually say, what am I supposed to go do now? Because this is weird. Like you feel out of place to be doing anything else.
Yeah, but, that's why
it's like a come down.
I hate talking on the microphone in between songs when that happens.
Yeah.
I think we've gotten.
Like, whoa, who are all of you, and who am I?
Yes. Yeah. Oh man, when I have to get back into that zone, of talking to people after a moment like that, I'm just not even there. I'm still floating in that other space, and I'm just letting words come out of my mouth. You know
what I've liked doing recently a little bit more than usual is, and you know, I feel like I would always want music to be the platform at which I could speak to people to literally just bring people together in a positive sense. Like, we're all one. Let's all be loving and let's continue through this. And music would be my platform for that. Maybe visual art is somebody else's. Maybe food, cooking is somebody else's. But I've really enjoyed recently kind of actually taking a step out for when we are at some of these shows, especially some of these bigger venues where we do have the mic and there are a bunch of people here. And I do like to use that moment of speaking as a time to send a message for it. Now, I don't know what you think about this. This is a little facetious, but I'm also dead serious about this. We've been playing a song recently entitled DMT by Flying Lotus. Have you ever heard about that? Have you ever heard of Flying Lotus?
Yeah, I know Flying Lotus, but okay. I don't know if I know that song. Yeah.
Are you familiar, for example, with what DMT is?
Yeah, that's the drug, right?
Yeah, that's that kind of endogenous chemical in your brain, the dimethyltryptamine, which, based in the studies, and by the way, we're having the doctor.
Yeah. Right.
Maybe you've heard of the spirit molecule?
Right, yeah.
So, actually, we're having that doctor who did all those studies on the podcast at the end of March. So he'll be really able to kind of get in there with us and talk about that. But for example, we play the song and we're like, hey, this is called DMT by Flying Lotus. It's an amazing song. It also sounds really sweet when a band plays it. And it means this. And all we want to say is, hey, maybe there's more to this realm than you know. And just go research this. Go check it out or something like that. Be open to growth. That's just a little example, more of a facetious one. But it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And
again, it's just like you don't want to like try to be like the school teacher or whatever about it.
Yeah, not a school teacher.
But you feel like the pervasive need perhaps in people to have a little more spiritualism. And not necessarily like I gotta go to this place and convene with people every week and like put the thing in a bag or whatever, but inside. You know what I mean? What do you think? Do you ever think about what the world needs in that regard for our better development?
Oh man, I just thinking about what you said about using that moment as an opportunity to, to give a message about something. I'm gonna remember that, man. Thank you for that. Yeah, that's cool.
Cool. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Usually I'm just trying to remember which songs we played.
Yeah, you're like, what did we just play?
Yeah. So, but I really relate to what you guys are saying. About what you said about this is the way that we are using to bring people together, to make the world a better place, to be a positive force in the world, and music is a healing activity. It's a vibrational medicine, for the world, and the vibrations can, they can be felt all around the world from everybody. It's so powerful. And even if there isn't anybody there to hear it, I still believe that even just putting those positive vibrations into the world, that also has an effect on humanity and people, and spiritual life, just doing that, even if nobody hears it. To add to the quotient of positivity and connectedness that is our evolutionary destiny, to be together,
Yeah.
It's that you saying that right there, it just hit me with this idea that I know you felt, judging from our conversation, and we felt as well, as like we're all headed there. We know that the next step is to combine all our fancy gadgets with actual spiritual growth, because that's when that real exponential growth is going to happen for us. I mean, we're gonna literally be flying out there in the stars if we do that. But we
heavenly bodies.
What is it that's keeping us from us? You can sometimes it feels like there's all the hoopla of the world that's keeping us from that. Sometimes it feels like there's some people keeping us from that. But also it's the internal. And man, it's like, how do we get there? And there needs to be that epiphany, that global paradigm shift. But it's so elusive.
And we're at such a weird place right now. It's like, I personally feel like we're at a point where it's like almost a tipping point where either we could tip and go straight deep dive into that spiritual growth portion, or we could fall the other way and actually become complete prisoner to
the
other side, whatever you want to call that. And it's very scary, and we're seeing a lot of stuff coalesce right now, and it is worrisome. But what's it like for you right now in Berlin? Like what's Germany like? What's going on?
Well, it's pretty low key. Everybody's just kind of doing their thing, keeping on, and keeping masks on. There's no controversy like that over here. Maybe there's a little bit, a couple people saying, oh, it's a hoax, whatever, but there's only a few of those. And in general, everybody's just kind of like staying low and riding it out, man. And Germany has also been really good about supporting its people. They had an explicit separate package of help just for freelance artists, that was delivered from the government directly into people's bank accounts, and it wasn't an add-on or an afterthought to some other big package. It was like a deliberate thing. It was like, we value music and the arts. Yep. We're gonna help people. We recognize that freelancers got no gigs now, so I think that there's a lot less upheaval here, that people are just staying down and cool, until we can ride this thing out. But I mean, me personally, I'm so connected with the States, and my whole family's there, and I grew up, and so many of my friends and are there, and my psychic life is wrapped up with it too. So I'm like on that ride too,
Yeah, that makes sense.
With everything that's going on there, and I'm like so invested. So I feel what you're saying too about this moment. But it's like, as you were mentioning before, how bizarre it feels to be living and to just be walking down the street, and to find ourselves able to speak and to do these things, and to have agency and will, and we can do things. It's also remarkable to me also just to sometimes I just like, wow, man, we're really going through something really historic right now, and isn't that a trip? Don't I feel even as challenging as it is, and as horrible as it is in a lot of ways, also just to feel like, oh my God, like I'm living through this shit, that is something that I find really exciting, and that I can engage with psychically and spiritually, and just emotionally. But I think this is a great opportunity, like you said, for that other side, to go into the other side, to really get back to the essential of what we are about as human beings, and as people ourselves, as individuals, whoever you are. Like, this has shown that, like, okay, all that normal conditions, all the axioms are on hold. You know, they're like, the power's off. It's like a blackout. You know, it's like when there's a blackout, everybody's dancing in the streets.
Right.
And they're talking to their neighbors and shit, you know, and they're realizing who they are and stuff, you know. So the grid has been powered down, as it were, and
literally,
you know, we're not running through our habit trails, you know, and we're just home, and it's like we can really have a great opportunity to get back to ourselves and to realize what's really important and do some powerful work, I think.
That's true. It's funny, real quick, it's funny that you said the grid is powered down, because actually like a week and a half ago here in Texas, we totally lost power and water. Actually, at the house we're at right now, we haven't had water in, I think, 2 weeks, maybe over 2 weeks now.
Yeah, like 3 weeks we haven't had
close
water.
to 3 now.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's not the good kind.
No.
It's
but you know what?
Yeah.
We don't even care. We'll get through it.
We're doing it. We don't care.
We don't have time to worry about it.
There's still water. You know, we're still blessed. So
we got a sweet water bottle company that lets us have fresh, clean water, especially being in Houston.
Shouts out to Epic Water Filters.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit. So you guys have just been going through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Wow.
But it's been fun.
It's fun, you know, in that sense, because it kind of, like you said, like maybe sometimes you kind of need a little bit of that adversity to wake you up.
Yeah.
You get into that lull, everything is so smooth sailing. You get into that lull, you're not feeling human anymore. You're just like a little cog going through it, and it's like, oh wait, hold on a second. I feel fear. I feel hurt.
And I know that Armin and I, you know, like even maybe 5 months ago or something, when we were really starting this podcast and stuff like that, or even just moving into this place that we live in, that we moved into 6 months ago, problem after problem after problem. And I can see like a lot of people, like including myself maybe in the past, but would get really tired and really sad and maybe even depressed. But I think what he and I have turned to is like, you know what, we can't even let that happen. Let's play a game about it. How about that? We're gonna win. And not in a conniving way, not in a mean like we're the win. I just mean like we're going to beat the adversity no matter what it is, and we're going to keep a positive mindset, and we're going to get through it regardless. And if there's a will, there's a way.
Word.
So that's kind of the whole ordeal about life.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Absolutely. You know, it's like the hits keep on coming, you know, and you know, let's make hits along the way.
Yeah.
Let's make hits from the hits.
When are you gonna come down here, Kurt?
Yeah, when do you come to Houston, man?
Oh man, I would love to come down to Houston.
You can stay at our pad.
Straight
okay.
up.
All right.
I'm serious. Yeah. Though, yeah. If you need a place to stay.
Yeah. Next time we're putting a tour together, man. I'll get in touch to see what we can do.
Sweet.
Oh my God.
I mean, that'd be something that, I mean, listen, Houston has the potential in this town is ridiculous.
It actually is.
It's like we're sitting on a gold mine of musical and artistic opportunities.
Yeah.
A lot of great cats coming from Houston.
I know, and it's like there's just not enough things going on here, so.
It's really amazing. And it's, for me, you know, this is crazy for me because like I said before we started, you know, I'm in Amsterdam 2.5 years ago. Just seeing you play, in all honesty, like not as invested in your music as I am now, but just as getting more and more exposed, and then obviously getting more invested after that. And now I'm sitting with you here and we're just having this talk, and it's like, what is going on? But it's sweet. I love it. I'm having a great time.
Right on.
Kurt, if you have some more things to plug to make people aware about, I think we've pretty much had a pretty amazing conversation, and I'd love to leave it on a high note.
Totally.
And if maybe if you have a last message for the people and things you want to plug.
Oh yeah, man. Well, my message is always stay strong and keep the faith, and wish you all strength and inspiration, and hope you can find that and find the time to be in a creative space, and I've been doing these master classes. That's what has been getting us through this time, and they've been great. They've been really fantastic. We've done 4 of them now, and they're still up on the Hardcore Records website, which is shop.hardcore-records.com.
Okay.
And so you can check out 4, or actually 3 master classes that we have up, and basically what they are is they're like a 2-hour presentation that we've curated and I put together, and make like a 2-hour presentation about certain subjects, and then a 1-hour Q&A. We do that live, and
that's cool.
And then after the fact we put them up so that you can buy the video, so you can participate in the masterclass like that. So I just plug those, and they're really cool, and we've been having a great time doing it. We're gonna have masterclass number 5 coming soon, but you can check out the other ones that are out there, and check out Hardcore Records if you feel like it. There's a lot of cool things there, and yeah, that's it. It's cool talking to you guys, man.
You'll feel like it. Check out Hardcore Records.
You'll feel like it.
And thank you again, Kurt.
Yeah,
thank you for a wonderful
Kurt.
conversation. And
thank you guys.
I'm looking forward to anything, whatever happens. Another podcast, a musical event, seeing you out here in concert, whatever it may be.
Yes.
And
I think we'll see each other down the road.
Yeah, I'm very much feeling it. Yeah.
I'm feeling it. Let's do it.
All right, man.
All right, Kurt.
Have a wonderful day.
Thanks.
See ya.
Peace out, you guys. Thank
Great
you.
night's sleep, actually.
You're very welcome.
Yeah. Right on.
See ya.